available for them. All right, thank you, Zoe. We're going to record it so that we can make it available for others. So welcome back again, Leon Lewis, and we'll just get started with our cybersecurity class. So once again, my name is Okoyemi Emmanuel, and I'm your cyber security instructor for today. Basically what we'll be doing tonight is, like I told you in the last class on Sunday night, I guess, I told you we're going to be focusing, because we have just very short time here on this foundational class. We're going to be focusing basically on the penetration thing and SQL injection side of cybersecurity. Like I explained earlier also, that there are so many different areas in cybersecurity, and the more you can go wide and you can go deep, in the sense that you can have breadth, meaning that you cover, you instead of specializing in just one area, you actually have an idea of all the different areas of cybersecurity before you specialize in a particular area, like cryptography or governance or the legal area or the penetration testing area and all of the other different specializations that are available under cybersecurity. So it depends on where you want to. We can narrow down after 2 years, 3 years, but at this level where you're just getting started, it's very nice to understand all different dynamics, everything about different areas of specialization, and learn all of them. Just like a doctor, when you go to school, medical school, you don't specialize first. You first of all have breadth, meaning that you do a bit of clinicals, you do a bit of what's it in gynecologist, you do a bit of cardiologist, arts. You just kind of know every part of how every part of the human system works. But as you graduate from medical school and you go for housemanship and you go for, you leave housemanship, then you can specialize and say, I want to be a cardiologist, I want to be a gynecologist, I want to be a dentist, no, not dentist now, that's completely off the track. You want to be, there are different areas in the medical space, but within the medical, being a doctor, you can be doctor for children, you can be doctor for different things, right? So that being said, back to where we are. So today, understanding the network packet using Postman. That's why I asked you to download Postman. So when you understand as a penetration tester, you need to understand how, before you can understand how you penetrate into somebody's system, you even need to understand how the system works. How do systems communicate together? How do APIs work? So when you understand how APIs work, it's just like an hacker. One of the process of hacking, in ethical hacking now, the first thing you would do is for scanning. You can't go, and if a robber wants to rob a bank, for instance, if somebody wants to rob a bank, the first thing they do is that they will send someone to go and spy the bank. I've seen this movie called what's the name of this movie now? Money
Surveillance.
You have seen Money
Surveillance.
Exactly. They can do surveillance first. So they have to first of all monitor how they go in, the time they come in, this how many security guard do they have, what is the time the guy goes for coffee, when does he come back, when does he go to the restroom? Because if you don't do surveillance and you don't have enough information, there's no way you can break into any system. You have to, is the gap or the loophole in the system that exists that the hackers use to penetrate. So before you can penetrate the system, you need to understand the system. So that's why tonight we'll understand how network work, how APIs work, how the system communicates with each other APIs. When you understand that, then when you now want to penetrate a system, you already have an understanding of how it works, then you know where the gaps are, and you know how to penetrate. So that's what we're doing. So tonight we're going to be leveraging Postman to understand how API calls are made, the types of calls that we have for APIs, how to test an API, all the things about APIs. So confirm to me that you downloaded your Postman already and you have your system running.
Yes, I have. I downloaded my Postman already, but I'm just installing it, to be sincere. It's installing as we speak now.
Oh, you're just okay, it's installing. Okay, but confirm that my audio is not breaking, because it seems my network is not so great. But confirm you can hear me clearly and my audio is not breaking.
Your audio is not breaking. I can hear you
My
clearly.
audio breaking?
No, it's not. It's clear.
Okay, nice. Okay, nice. All right. So let me share my screen. So let me know You can see my screen. You can see my screen.
Yeah, it's just coming up. It's not up yet. Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you as well.
All right, great. So we're going to start. So like I said, we're looking at Postman. Postman is it's a tool that allows you to actually test APIs, right? It's a very powerful tool, one of the best tools out there for testing APIs. And it does a lot of things. Like it's very robust, very great guy, very good tool. Any tester you see out there that does not, there's no tester that will say does not know. That's the first thing you learn as a tester, right?
Yeah. I can't hear you again, no.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Stop me.
Yeah, I know you can hear me now. So let me continue. So sorry about that. I'm trying to switch my network to another provider. All right. So as I was saying, we're going to start with understanding how API works. And the reason why we're understanding how API works is because like any armed robber who wants to steal something has to do surveillance. We need to understand how communication works between systems before we can actually see where the gaps are, right? That's why we are learning API testing tonight. So I've told you about test out API, the quality of APIs, because when you know how to use Postman, then you'll be able to when you find the banking application, which I will show you shortly from this platform that we built, you will see how every application, like a bank application, how they communicate between the front end and the back end via APIs. And then if you're able to test them very well, you can see the gaps in between them, maybe something that they've not done properly. Because if you want to conduct like a DDoS attack on a server or an application, is via API that you will be able to conduct that, right? So API generally are the communication mechanism between the front-end application and the back-end application. And on the call on Sunday, I explained the difference between the front-end and back-end. The front-end is everything that the user interacts with. That's the interface that they see. The current screen I'm sharing now is the front-end. But by the time I click on this contact skills up here and I fill a form and I submit it, that goes via API to the back-end to be submitted into the database. So that is how API works. So API is actually the connection or the bridge between the front end and the back end. And what is testing? What is API testing? API simply is simply ensuring that the connection between the front end and the back end is secure enough to ensure that no intruder can come in. Don't forget that your job as cybersecurity expert is to be able to ensure that no bad guys is able to come in. But for you to prevent bad guys from coming in, you have to think like a bad guy yourself. That's the way it works. If you want to be a police, the best police are the best armed robbers. Because if you want to be a policeman that is very good at catching thieves, you have to first of all think the way the armed robber would think so that you can catch the armed robber. So you have to think like someone who wants to break into a system before you can prevent it from being broken into. That is the way ethical hacking works. So you have to be an hacker yourself to be an ethical hacker, right? So coming back to what I'm saying, we have different kind of testing that you can conduct on APIs. The first one is unit testing. Unit testing is just testing a single piece of endpoint, to show that endpoint returns the correct response at any given time. That is unit testing. So you want to test that, okay, this login endpoint. What is an endpoint? I'm not sure I've defined what an endpoint is. An endpoint is simply an API, just a single API that performs a single task. It's either is able to log in or log out or forgot password or something. So an endpoint is just a single piece of API that performs just a single task. So when I say unit testing, I'm talking about testing a single API endpoint to confirm that endpoint is returning the right response. Because sometimes, as an hacker, if you test an API in the process of your surveillance, because this testing thing has to do with surveillance, you are scanning the application you want to break into, you are scanning it for flaws or gaps that you can leverage to come in. Just like if a thief goes to a bank, you can see that a particular guard, if they're at night, maybe around 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., there are only 2 guards on duty. One guard around 12 midnight has 5 minutes break. He goes on coffee break and he goes to sleep or he goes to take coffee and walk around. If they have done their surveillance very well, I've seen that there is a gap there for 10 minutes break for the guard, and the second guard maybe is listening to music or goes to the restroom. They can use that 10 minutes to sneak in, do what they want to do, and go out. That's what you have seen in movies, right? So that's the same thing. So when we're conducting our surveillance on API or at the API level, we want to see, is every endpoint, is it doing the exact thing it's supposed to do? That is unit testing. So when you are doing unit testing, you are conducting a test that confirms that every single endpoint, just a single endpoint, is doing what it's supposed to do. Then the next type of API testing is end-to-end testing. End-to-end testing means that you are conducting a test that follows the user's journey. So, for instance, for a forgot password to work, forgot password is not just a single endpoint, right? Forgot password can be a journey. So usually, typically, this is how forgot password works. Number one, somebody will go to login screen and he types the wrong password, or he types his password that he assumes to be correct, and the system says invalid password. That's the beginning of the journey of forgot password. So somebody attempts to use the password he thinks is correct. The system says no, it's not correct. Then he clicks on forgot password below the password area of the login screen. It takes the user to a screen where it gives him the box and say, type in your username or type in your email. The person provides the email. Just that functionality there to ask for email username is to confirm that the person that wants to set password is the real person. So he types the email or username that he created the account with. Then the system triggers an OTP to the email address, right, or the phone number that was registered to that email address or username. Then the person goes to his phone number, his phone inbox, SMS, picks the OTP, and so once you type in your username or email, you click on submit. It takes you to another screen, right? I hope I'm still recording. Okay, I think I'm still recording. Let me check. I think I'm recording, yes. So it takes you to another screen where the user now is asked for the OTP that was sent to the phone number registered to that username that is supplied or the email he provided. So if it's not the correct person, if it's an hacker or a thief or someone that is not the real person, he will not be able to retrieve that OTP. But if it's the right person, of course, he should have his phone with him. He goes into his SMS inbox, speaks the OTP, supply it, and then when he submits that OTP, the same checks the OTP that the user has supplied against the OTP that is saved with the name of that username. Then, if it's the same, it gives him the new password reset page. The user can now type a new password. That is a journey. That is a user journey to forgot password process. So when you say end to confirm, you can hear me, Leon Lewis. So I'm sure you're with me. Hello, Lewis, are you there? Lewis, are you there?
I can hear you. Yes,
Okay,
I
I
can
just
hear
want
you.
to
I'm still here.
yeah. Okay, yeah, there. Okay, good. So as I was explaining, end-to-end testing means that you are validating that the user journey for a particular action is still very much correct, and every endpoint involved in that journey is doing what they're supposed to do and returning the right response. Meaning that unit test has to do with a single endpoint, right? Why end-to-end test means that you are validating all the endpoints involved in that journey. I've just explained the forgot password journey to you now. End-to-end testing means that you are testing everything that is involved in that particular journey. Then we have contract testing, we have load testing. Load testing has to do with testing that if the system is bombarded by more users than required, the system has enough power to carry that traffic. That's where some sites, some especially government sites, when government announce that there's a grant coming up, and then we have 10,000 people hit a particular site at the same time trying to access the grant, the server will go down. They will say the server is down, or maybe a university server when admission opens, or maybe hostel when they want to book hostel. I remember then when we were in school many years ago, when hostel opens and you want to apply for hostel, once they open the application, once they open the hostel site, within 10 minutes the site is down. Why? Because the site was not done. Load testing has not been done on that site, so they have not really tested it for reliability during peak traffic, when traffic is a lot. That is load testing. So load testing has to do with testing APIs that it can actually undo a lot of traffic, right? So that being said, I don't want to take so much time in explaining stories, even though these are the foundational concept, because if you don't understand the theory part, when I get into the practical now, you might not be able to understand what I'm saying when I'm using the terminology, unit test, end-to-end test, API, endpoints, all these terminologies. That's why I'm explaining them before I now go into the actual thing. So now that I've explained all the type of testing, I'm just going to explain the reason why we conduct testing. The reason why we conduct testing is very simple. We conduct testing because of quality, like I said. If you don't think like an hacker and you don't build a bulletproof bank, you don't put your doors right, you don't set up your system right, you don't do all your checks, you don't do all your CCTV check, the day armed robber will come is the day that your CCTV is not working, or maybe the CCTV at the back of the garage is blind. So API testing helps us to be sure that all the endpoints are doing what they're supposed to do, because the day that one of them is not working at optimal level, hackers can come in and leverage those holes or those gaps, within the API, to leverage and enter the system and do what they want to do. So quality assurance is number one reason why we conduct API testing, to be sure that APIs are performing optimally and we can trust them to deliver on what they're supposed to do. So when user is typing the wrong password, API does not go and say it's correct and allow them to go. API is supposed to say invalid when it's invalid, and all of that. User should not be able to deceive the API. So that's it. So number two is early detection and resolution. So when you do it API testing, you quickly detect where issues are. Like I said, in the real world, when their CCTV is not working again, or it needs maintenance, or their revolving door, this is their security door that's at the bank door. If it's not working properly and people can just bypass it, then that's an issue. So when you have API testing done, you have early detection of issues within your API calls, and you can quickly resolve them so that hackers will not be the one to leverage those gaps and take advantage. Then resource conservation, rapid iteration, and all of that. I will leave it at that. I won't go more into what is here. I'll just go straight to the practical aspect. So this is my interface for Postman. This is my interface for Postman. So I'm ready to start the practical side now. So I want to confirm if your Postman is installed and you have it already launched. And if you have launched it, you should have a screen like this, or tell me what you are seeing on your screen. Tell me what you are seeing on your screen.
Yeah, my Postman is already installed and launched, but I'm still in the getting started phase. It's just showing me welcome to your personal workspace. I can still send an API request, import, call, collection, and more.
Exactly. So
I think I'm still in the very
click on that send an API request.
okay. Done that.
Okay, good. So now that we click on send an API request, it should be on an environment that looks similar to mine. So if you look at my screen, you will see on the left, extreme left, collections, environment, history. Is that what you see on your own?
No. Nothing. No. After I clicked on that send an API request, okay, still loading. I think my internet is slow.
Okay.
So what I see here, there's a table, key value description.
Exactly. That's it. You're in the right place. So at the top of that table is params, authorization, headers, body, script, test, settings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Above that
You're
is
right.
a box with a blue send button on the right, above the cookies.
Yes.
All right, so you're in the right place. So we're
Yes,
good to go. So that is the Postman environment where you conduct your API testing, right? That's where you conduct your API testing. Now, what do you do in this environment? If you see my screen, I'm sharing my screen currently. It's similar to what you have, right? So I'm going to drop a link. Okay, I'm going to explain first. Let me explain first so that you can follow me. So you just stay on my screen. Let me explain everything I need to explain. Then I will now tell you
your
to do.
screen is not your screen is not showing what I can see on my own Postman though. Okay, yes, it is, but it's on a white background. Yes, it is.
Yours is on the
We're actually
black
on the
background.
same page. Yes.
Okay, maybe I don't know when we are on a dark mode on your system or something. But it's fine.
Yeah, I'm
Whether
on a dark mode system. You're right.
on a dark mode, that's why. All right, so let's go on. So if you look at my screen now, so I want to explain to you what you can see on your screen. Number one, you have what we call the different or methods that you use in making API calls, and I want to explain the different methods to you. So if you can see my screen, confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Tell me what you see on my
Scrolling.
screen. Okay, scrolling, good. So I'm going to explain quickly to you how requests, how this request, sending requests, how it works, right? So in Postman, you are able to make what we call API. I can explain to you front-end interface. Let me just quickly do an explanation. So let me go to this site. So if you look at this site here, can you see this site I just opened? The grant website for the federal government, right? So we worked on this application some times back. And on this page I am on currently is called the beneficiaries page. People that have applied for the grant and they've been given. So you can see the local government area and you can see the number of beneficiaries. And you can remember I told you that this is the front end of this application, right?
Yes.
And on this application,
Yes, you did.
you have right here in the dev2, you can see the connection to this application. So you will see that there is a URL here that is being called, and you can see the response here. If you see the response, you will see what is coming back. Let me click on this, as you can see here. So what I'm going to be showing you on Postman is similar to this. So this front end here is what the front end engineer has built. And there is on the backend side, what we call the APIs that have been built by the backend engineers, right? So when a request is made to the backend, like for instance, if I over this, I want you to see the payload that is being sent. Look at this. So this is the request URL. On the request URL, you will see HTTPS, grants API, Fed grant and loan, Gulf, NG, dates, blah, 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 and all of that, right?
Yes.
So what is that request URL is the API URL that is being triggered, right? And some parameters are being passed along. If you see what is being passed along, let me just kind of move a bit to the right so that you see it. So on the right-hand side here, you will see something like LGA count page 1 and limit 774.
Yes.
You can see page 1 and limit
Yes,
774. So what that is saying is that, so we have, if you look at any URL, it's divided into different parts. So the first part here, from the HTTPS all the way to the .ng, is called the base URL. This whole area here is called the base URL,
Yes.
right? Then after the base URL, you have what we call the routes, or let me call them the routes here. The next API v1 candidate is the route. Then after that is called the params. This page 1 and 774 are called the params. So params are like parameters. It's just additional information for the API to know what to do. So in this case, now the parameter says that I am requesting for page 1 and I need only 774 records. Do you understand?
Okay.
I can request for page 2 and request for maybe another 500 records by limit. So that is what is going on in this page. And this is the call. So there is a request. If you can see, the name, the title is called request URL. As you can see here, it's called a request URL. And you can see the method. The request method is called get. Right? It's called a get method. So we have different request methods under API calls. We have get, we have post, we have put, which are going to see soon. We have patch, you have delete, you have, all of them. You will see a lot of different request methods shortly. But right now, we are currently dealing, this site is using get to fetch the response from the backend. And you can see the status code. The status code is 200 OK, meaning that 200 OK means that the API call that was made here was successful. Sometimes you can see 400, sometimes you see 503, sometimes you see 403. Anything apart from 200 means that there's an error, there's an issue, right?
Okay.
And then this is the IP address of the server that is hosting this stuff and all of that. So that is what I'm trying to show you. So now that you have seen this is a request that has been made from the front end. There is now a response. So you see at the top here, I can go to the response part. So the response is what the server is now returning back to the front end that is requesting. So I'm saying the front end is saying, give me page 1, 774 records on the local governments, of all the local governments and all of that, and the number of candidates that has gotten the grant. Then you see the response. Response comes back and says success, status success, right? And it says message is candidate count retrieval successful for all local government. Result is what? 774. Data is count this, LGA name is this, LGA ID is this, and all of that. You can see a lot of them, about 774 local governments with all the details. So what this means is that for every site you see, every bank site, every application, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, the front end is the UI, like I said, is where the user is actually clicking something, searching for something, posting a message, and all of that. But every action that you see on the front end is actually an API call to the back end to get a response. And when that response comes back, then the response is now being displayed like this. So it is actually what is sent to the back end that is coming back as a response that is being displayed. Do you understand now? So you can see here now. So assuming I have the name of somebody, I can actually type their big name and I will see their name here. So it's a response. I don't know if that came back. Aha, look at it here. So you see candidates.
Yes, that's my BVN.
This is the call to the. You can see the request URL has changed. It's now showing that API candidates. It is still 200, but the response here is empty data. The result is 0. Right? Because there is nobody there. So that is how it works. So now that you understand this concept, so every website, every application actually works with what we call a request and a response. So there is a request and there is a response. A request comes from the front end, then the back end will respond with a response, the data, right? It's down the data that comes back that we are now displaying to the user. So anytime you log into your account on Facebook, a request will be made to the back end, and all your feeds, all your posts that you made in the past will be returned back, and then that will now be displayed to you when you now log into your dashboard. When you log into your Instagram, the same thing. You log in, a call is made to the backend. The backend fetches all the latest posts by other people, the ones you are following, the ones that look like the posts you've made yourself. Everything is now loaded on the screen for you. So that is how applications work, right? That's how API calls work. So now that we understand that simple concept of how API works, let's go back to our Postman and understand different methods, right? So if you look at this place now, you can see that we have different method. Where is that again? Where is that again? Where is that again? I want to jump to creating a request. Okay, this is where I want to be. So creating a request. Creating a request in Postman is very simple. When you want to create a new request, all you need to do is to click on create a request. Let me go to that area. So you see on your side here, I've gone to my Postman now. You will see a button at the very top, top left here of your screen. It says create new collection. I want you to click it on your own side. Click on create new collection. That's a plus sign top left. When you click on it, it will ask you to give, is it a blank collection or you want to use a template? Click on blank collection.
What I see here is, wait, sorry, hold on. I can see create a collection for your requests. Create collection on the left side of the screen.
Yes, click on that create collection.
Okay. You said this collection is empty. Add your request.
Exactly. So you're supposed to now add a request to the collection, but is it giving you an opportunity to name the collection first? If you can see my screen, there is a place where I'm supposed to type the name that is highlighted in blue at the top here.
Okay.
Is it doing the same thing for you? So just give it a name. So I'm going to call this
new collection.
So new collection. Just change it to Leon's collection or Leon Lewis. I'll just name it your name so that we know that that's your own collection. So I've just created a collection for Leon Lewis now on my screen. You can see my screen. So now that I've done that, I've created the Leon Lewis collection. Now we can enter that collection. Below the collection on the left, see the drop down arrow on my left side here. You will see add a request. This collection is empty. Add a request to start working. Click on the add a request. Click on the add a request. When you click on add a request, then you will see that you give the opportunity to actually also name the first request that you are creating. So you see that it will highlight the new request. It will highlight the new request. So type the name. So let's call this get users. Let's call this get users. Get all users. Let's call this collection and this particular get all users. This is the name of the current request that we are making, right? So so now that we are in there, we are making progress. So let me explain the different methods that we have. So I mentioned something to you earlier called methods. If you click on this drop down below that where you type the name of the request, get all users, you see a get inside the drop down. Click on that arrow beside the get. You will see a list of methods. You will see get.
Get,
post, put, patch, delete, adds, and options. So I will explain all of them to you. So let's start with the get. Or maybe I will just, because of time, because already 15 minutes into the call or left, I'm going to explain the first four most important ones, or maybe 5. Get request, right, is the first and the most common type of request that you make on any website, on an application can make. So what get does is that it allows you to fetch information from the backend. That is what get actually does. So anytime you want to get information from the backend, like all users, all posts, all this, all that, one single post, anytime you want to fetch information from the backend, is a get request that we use, right? That is all about get. Anytime you want to fetch information, you use get. Anytime you want to save information or send information back to the backend, right? Anytime the front end wants to send information back to the backend, is going to use a post. So anytime somebody wants to create an account, for instance, on the site, it is a post method that they will use. Anytime somebody wants to submit a form or a contact form, or somebody wants to upload a picture, that is a post request. So anytime you want to save something or submit something to the backend, it's a post request. Then we go to the next one. Don't forget the first one is get. That is for fetching information from the backend. Post request for sending information to the backend. Put request is to update information that you previously sent to the backend, right? So post is to save a new information, while put is to update an existing information. So it is still sending information to the backend, but that information already exists. It's not a new one, so it's updating it. That's put. Then patch is similar to put. They are very closely related. Then delete, of course, from the word delete is to remove information that was existing in the backend before. So if you want to delete anything, you use delete. Those are the 5 most important I will explain add an option in another call because it's a bit complex, right? So I'm going to leave that.
Okay.
So let's start testing out these 5 top, or maybe 4. Get, post, put, and delete. These are the 4 most important. Put and patch are almost doing the same job. So we just focus on get, post, put, and delete, right? So let's start with the get. Get, like I said, is to fetch information back from the backend. So we're going to be using a sample. Since we don't have our own website built already, I'm going to use an example database that already exists online. I'm going to use that for our test this evening. So I already went to this site. I found this website online, so I'm going to use it. So don't forget I told you about the name of the website is called request.in or request.in. So I'm going to just post it on our platform in the chat box. I'm posting it for you now in the chat box. So this is the site, request.in, right? So try to pick up that URL, click on it, open it on your end. So that gives us the base URL. Remember I told you the different breakings or the different parts of a URL. I told you about the base URL, the route, and the parameters, right? When I was showing you that load and grant stuff. So now this, what I just sent to you, the request.in is the base URL, right? And if you can see my screen, we now have different routes that we can follow and different params that we can add. So the first one we're going to be dealing with on the screen here is called a get request, as you can see here in the button in the big.
I opened the link you sent me. I'm on that request page now, but what it's saying here is test your front end against a real API. Fake data, real response.
Scroll down.
You should scroll down, yeah.
Scroll down until you see give it a try. Then you scroll down and you see where I am. You see get list users.
Where you are.
All right, so you see list users. So list users is the first example of the API we are trying out. So if you click on that list users, it will give you the response. You can see the response on the right. Page 1, page 2, page total, and all of that. So let's test it out on our Postman because this one is on their website. They are telling you what it looks like, but let's run it by ourselves and confirm what it is. So I already gave you the base URL. So what you do is that copy that base URL, paste it on your Postman in the box in that and enter URL or paste a text. So I'm going to paste my base URL. If you can see my screen, that's what I have there. So you have https request.in/. Can you see that? Can you see my screen? So on my Postman. Once you pasted it there, then we need the remaining part of the route. So go back to the request page, and then you will copy the request. You will see /API/users page 2. So copy that and paste it also in front of your base URL that you pasted before. So if you see my screen now, what I have is https://request.in/API/users page equals 2. That's what you should have in your box in front of your get request in Postman. So if you have done that, let me know so that I'm sure we're on the same page.
Okay, so I put the HTTPS request in my get page.
Yes,
that was where I lost you. So what did you say I'm going to do next after that?
So in front of that, in front of the IN/, you now have API. Yes. Can you see my screen? Just peep on my screen and see what I have so that you do the same.
Okay, yes. Okay, I can see your screen.
/API/users page equals 2.
Page 2. As it is on the request site, right?
Exactly, as it is on the request site. Okay. Yes.
I should copy everything with the equal to 2.
Yes, correct.
I don't know why my system is not copying the equal to 2, but can I just write it in front of it?
You can type it yourself, yes. If it's not copying, just type it.
All right, done.
So now click on send. At the right, extreme right, the blue button, click on send. When you click on send, it's going to load, it's sending the request to the backend. It's sending the request to the backend, and you should get a response.
It says 404 not found.
Okay, that means something is wrong with your URL. Mine is saying 200 okay. So check the spelling of your request.in, and then is there a / after the in before the API, before the users, and then page equals 2. Something is wrong with your URL. So check everything. What you should have is https:// //API/users ? Page =. What did you miss in the URL?
That's the same thing I have here.
And
HTTP.
HTTP what? Okay, let me paste it for you let me paste the right thing for you so that you copy it from the chat box of
The chat box.
So,
all right.
yeah, so to the chat box. So copy what we have in the chat box. Let's see. Make sure that your method is get in that drop down. Make sure it's not post or put or anything else. It's get. It needs to remain as get. Yeah. So paste that. So paste that link in front of the get and send.
Okay, now I have it right. 200 OK 318 MS.
Exactly. So if you scroll down a bit, you will see the actual response below. You see page 2 per page, 6, 12, total 12, total pages. Then you can scroll down and see the content, Michael, the email address of you see on that date. Exactly, Michael Lawson. Then you see Lindsay Ferguson and all of that. So that's how we have been able to successfully make your first API call to the backend now using Postman, and it came back successful. So that is how API calls are made. So now you are saying that if this API is not done properly, we'll probably not get this response. We'll get 400, we'll get 402, 4 something, 503, and all of that. That's what makes sites to not work when they are not getting the right response. But when they get the right response, they will
200 OK.
Exactly. So that's it. So you are getting it now. So now that we've seen that, let's test another API. So now that is how get APIs work. It's just to fetch information from the backend. Let's go back to the request site and let me see. So if you want to fetch a single user, now the first one we tried was all users, list all users. If you want to get a single user, the information of a single user, go back to that your request and click on the second example there, single user. You will see the request that you should put in your URL /API/user/2. So go back to your documentation. Yes, go back to your documentation and do that same thing /API/user/2 and click on send.
In my Postman, so I should I clear the API users page equal to 2 parts?
No, do it as a new request. So go back to your Leon Lewis on the sidebar, right?
Okay.
Then click on the when you mouse over the Leon Lewis, there will be this star that will show in front, and then these 3 dots. Can you see view more actions in front of Leon Lewis on the sidebar there, on the left sidebar? When you mouse over the Leon Lewis, you will see a star that will show up, and then there are 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots. It will show you a drop down of share, move, run collection, generate test, edit, add request. So click on the add request to add a new fresh request, and then you can do the same thing. So for this second request now, you can name it single user.
Wait, I should just when I go on the Leon Lewis, when I go on the collection now, there's a star and 3 dots in front. Click on the dots.
Click on the 3 dots. It gives you a drop down.
Okay.
Look for add. Look for
add
request. Look for add request. Add request on the drop. That's about the 5th or 6th item.
Yeah, I clicked on that already.
It gives you a new request
new
box.
Request, yeah.
Empty.
Yeah.
Then you can name. So name it. Or give that new request a name. Single user, or fetch single user, something like that. So the first one was get all user. This one is fetch single user. Done that?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Fetch single user.
Yes, fetch single user.
Yeah, done. So I should put that. I should put the
URL.
The URL
in the page /API/user/2.
I don't need to put that. Do I need to put the HTTP request in first?
You always need the base URL https request.in before any other thing.
Okay.
https request.in /API/user/2. Then click on send. You see the request. So it should come back with just a single user, Janet Weaver, just one person. If you try that, if it's correctly done, you get just one information for one person.
It's giving me 404 not found again.
That means something is wrong. So check the URL very well. https://request.in/api/user/2. Is that what you have? Let me paste my own for you again. But you'll be able to get it right so that
Yeah.
you don't. I will not be there when you are trying it on your own. So make sure find out what is wrong with your own.
Yes.
Try to look at it very
Okay.
well. Or maybe compare it with my own. Let me drop my own. Just compare what you have. Don't copy mine. Just compare and see what is the difference. What is missing in yours? That's giving 404. Missing it.
Yeah, sorry, hold on, sir. I'm on it. Okay. Still giving me 404, and it's the same thing with your own. Let me copy your own and see what it gives me first, if it will be different.
Okay.
Now it gave me Janet Weave. It gave me the correct
So
single
on
user
the
Janet Weaver.
try to do back to your own and check what something is missing. Or maybe you want to share your screen. Let me help you locate what is missing.
How do I share my screen, Sammy? I don't know how to share my screen now.
Just at the bottom of your screen, there is a share screen button. Let me stop
Okay.
sharing mine. There's a share button like an arrow. Just click on it
Yeah,
and
I've
then
seen it. Share screen.
let me see what you're doing. I'm not seeing your screen yet. So when you click on that
Yeah, I'm
share
still
screen, it's
trying to
going to
figure
pop
it.
up. When you click on share screen, it's going to pop up a modal telling you that you should select what you
Yeah.
want to share. So just tell it to share your entire screen. Click on
Okay,
entire
entire
screen,
screen.
then now click on share again. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
got it. Can you see my screen now?
It's coming up, so I can see it now. Let me see. So you have it's blank, it's empty.
Sorry, sir. Can you see it now? Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see your screen now, but go to your postman. Yeah, so your postman is empty. So select the type the information. It's currently blank. I'm seeing your cursor blinking in the blank box. So type the URL. Let me see. One that is wrong that is giving 404.
You can see it, right?
Okay, it's a double slash. See the double slash after the in and the before the API. Remove one.
Okay.
Behind the API, it's just a single slash that should be there. No double slash on the URL. Yeah. So that's the
Okay,
problem.
now I got it. I've seen my mistake. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. So we're good. So now we are done with get. So that's how get request works. So get request can be used to fetch a lot of records, which we've seen with get all users, and get request can be used to get a single record, which we saw with this fetch single user. So you can use it, but either you are fetching a single record or you are fetching a lot of records. They are both get method. Get generally are used for fetching information back from the backend. So let's try the next one. And we'll stop there
All
for
right.
today. So
So
that
can
we
you
can go
share
and
your? Let me stop sharing my screen so you can share your own with me.
Okay.
So I see what you're doing.
Okay. Share screen. Share. My screen is coming up. Okay, so screen is up. So I'm going to go to the next one. The next one is a post request. I'm going to go to a post request. So post request allows, like I said earlier when I was explaining post request allows us to update to create a new information on the backend. So get is fetching information that's already saved, whether single or many.
Yeah.
Post request allows us to create a new information on the backend side, right? And how do you do that? If you want to add a new piece of information to the backend, you can use a post request. So how do you do that? You will first of all change your method here on this drop down on Postman from get. Click on that drop down and change it to post.
Post.
Switch to post from get. So that's the first thing you do. The second thing is now to locate the correct URL to post to. So I'm going to go to my request and see the API. So you can see the API for post is /API/users. That is the next thing. So I'm going to correct it. So before I do that, I will not overwrite my single user's information so that I don't override this. So I will leave this request alone. I will go and create a new request for post. So I'll go to those 3 dots in front of your Lewis and click on add request. Right, so that it gives me a blank new. So and this one I will now say save or save new user or save a new user, something like that. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to call it save a new user or create a new user. So it's in this new one now that I will be creating my new user. So this is the API for creating a new user. HTTPS.
Sorry, sir. When you went to that 3 dots, what did you click on there from there?
Add request.
Add request. Okay.
Then to give you a new blank form again, then you name the
what
new
should I name
request.
it?
Save a new user.
What?
Save a new user or create a new user. Create new user.
All right.
All right. So after doing that, then type the URL. The URL. So the method is not get, it's a post. So change the method from get to post.
Yeah, change it to post.
Yeah. So you paste
the same request, the same http.any request is the URL, right?
Exactly. The same base URL. The base URL will never change. So the same base URL, then the route in front of that base URL is /API/users, no /2 or anything, just /API/users. That is the URL for adding a new user. Now, we now need to specify the user that we want to add. We need to specify the user that we want to add. So look at my screen and see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click on.
Sorry to cut you short, sir. I'm lost because this user, where did you get it? You clicked on create at the post on request, right?
Which one are you referring to?
The request site. You clicked on post to get the new user.
Post. Exactly. Click on that post, create. It will now tell you the URL to use. And the URL to use
API/users.
Exactly. That's why on my screen you will see /API/users in front of my request.in.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So now that's it. So we are done with the URL part of things now. So the URL is a post method. The route is /API/users. Then the information we want to post. Don't forget that post is always for sending information to the backend. So we have to now prepare the information we want to send to the backend. So how do we do that? You go to the body. You see that below the box there, you have params, authorization, headers, body, script, test, settings.
Yes.
Click on body. When you click on body, you will now see a new set of information again, none, form data, form URL encoded, raw, binary, GraphQL. Click on raw. Raw, the fourth one, raw. When you click on raw, you will now create what we call a JSON payload. If you go back to that request site, you will see the format. You can just copy from there. So right now on that request site, you see name is Morpheus, job is leader. So just highlight it and copy the JSON payload. That thing you see there is called a JSON payload. So you can paste it in that your raw box there. If you see my screen, you see the way I'm pasting it in that on that.
Okay.
Make sure raw is selected. Paste that information there. Then I don't want to use Morpheus. I want to use our own name here. So I'll call it Leon Lewis, just to be sure that it's being added. So I'm going to call it Leon Lewis. I'm going to call it a cybersecurity specialist.
Okay.
Specialist. So that's the job. So the job is cybersecurity specialist. The name is Leon Lewis, right? So that is how we do the database on the back end. So don't forget the method is post. The URL is https://request.in/API/users. We click on body, we click on raw, then we pasted the JSON payload, then we type the name and the job, then we click on send. When I click on send now, it's going to tell me whether successful or not. So it's going to, let's see the response that will come back from the backend. So mine is loading and loading and loading and loading. Let's see if it's, my internet is failing, but let's see if it's going to work. So I'm waiting for audio reconnecting. Audio, my system is saying, okay, so it's back. So my record one created. So when a new, so this API that was built now, 200 means okay, that the information has come back successfully. 201 means that the information has been created. That is what this site is returning. So you can see 201 created. And then you can now see the response says Leon Lewis. The job is cybersecurity specialist. The ID is 122. And the date that information, that record was inserted. Have you done your own on your side? Is it working?
So I just pasted the name Morpheus. I'm trying to change it to the same thing as yours.
Okay. So you can use another name because we already have one Leon. I've already done Leon Lewis, so I don't want to.
Okay, let me just use Adebayo.
Have you seen that? Have you done that?
Yeah, I'm on it.
When you're
So
done
I should
typing,
click on send. I should click on send, right? I'm done typing.
What name are you using?
Adebayo.
Okay, so welcome Nelly. I see Nelly join us now. Nelly, welcome. We are almost wrapping up, but we are looking at Postman. Oh, Nelly left again. Who left? Can you hear me, Leon Lewis? Let me be sure you're there with me.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm seeing someone left the call again.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Nelly, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so sir, after clicking,
Nelly, are you there? Can you hear me? Good evening, Nelly.
Can you hear me, sir?
Nelly, are you there? I can't hear you. I don't know if you're there. All right. After clicking send, what did you get?
Well, I got 404 bad something. So I think I made a mistake with the way I pasted that information from the request site. Yeah, it showed me 400 bad requests. But I think it's the way I pasted the name and the job on the. Are you there? Hello?
He has muted the microphone.
Okay, I see my mistake now. See my mistake.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I can.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Nelly. Welcome. Can you hear me, Nelly? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, are you there?
I'm here, sir.
Great. So we've gone a bit far, but I'm sure you can still catch up. So we're looking at this is about. Yeah, I know you're there. Yeah. So I'm trying to bring you up to speed where we are and how far we've gone so far. So we are doing the cybersecurity course, foundational class, and we are currently focusing on the introduction to penetration testing. And we are currently tonight looking at and examining how APIs work, starting with API testing itself before we get into penetration testing, and then to understanding how APIs work, how API calls are made, and we are currently practicing how to make an API call and understanding the different methods of making an API call. Nelly, I don't know if you are following me. So that's what we're doing. So last week, not last week, on Sunday, I told the team or everyone to download Postman so that today we can actually do a practical session of how API calls are made and go through all the different type of API calls. And we've done get method right now. We are currently on the post method, and we're going to go to delete and then put or patch, which is to update. And that will be all for today. So if you have your Postman downloaded already, try to launch it so that you can follow us as we go. And if you have not done that, you can also just download it now and quickly see if you can catch up. The recording of the session will be available, so you can definitely catch up by watching the replay of the video. So Leon, Lewis, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am. It's still showing me badge request though. I've not figured the post out yet.
Do you have a okay? Do you have a double slash in your URL?
Oh yes, I do. Thank you,
okay,
sir.
So remove one slash. The only double slash should be the one after the HTTPS, not anywhere else.
Oh yeah, now I got it. 201 created. Hello?
Good. So now note the ID of your record. Yeah, I can hear you. So note the ID of the record that you created. Mine is 122. What is the ID of your record? So you see the name, the job, the ID, the created at. What is the ID of your record?
I got 160.
What is the ID of your record?
160. Hello?
160.
Are you there, sir?
So note that. Don't forget 160. So what we're going to do.
But wait, I used that Morpheus.
Can you hear me?
I used the information I copied from request, the Morpheus and the leader. So now I just edited it to Adebayo and cybersecurity.
And that's fine. If you use that, just note the.
Okay, now that I changed the name to Adebayo and the job to cybersecurity, the ID I got is 306.
306. Okay, that's fine. So just note the ID because we will try to locate. Yeah, I can hear you. So what I'm saying, you should note the IDs because when we want to edit, when we go to the put or patch, we will need that ID to be able to edit. So my own ID is 122. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so my own ID is 1. Okay, that's good. So my own ID is 122, and then we're going to move on to the next thing in the document. So we've tried get, we've tried post. When you post any record and you insert it successfully into database, usually there's an ID assigned to identify each unique record that has been created or inserted into database. So you have to remember those ID if you want to, you don't have to necessarily remember them because you can use the get method to get the ID back, right? So you don't have to remember them. If I go to my get all users now, so let me quickly show you something. Let me show you also something. Let me go to get all users. If I go to get all users, on the left, your left sidebar, you can click on that get all users. You know that we have 3 requests created so far: get all users, single user, save a new user. So click on get all user and click on click on get all user and click on send. Let's see if we can fetch the information that we just saved from the list of users that we've saved that we have in database. So I'm going to
I should click on get all users. That's the three dots, right? In front of get all users.
No, not the 3 dots in front of, just the name alone, the get all users itself. The get all users itself. Have you clicked on get all user? When you click on it, it's supposed to load the information. No, something should happen on get all. If you click on get all users, you should go back. It should take you back to the one with /API/users question mark page equals to.
Yes,
Is that what it's showing you? All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
click on send now. Click on send.
200 okay.
100 okay.
Yeah. I got 200 okay
Okay, good.
after clicking on send.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's go to the next. Let's go to the next record. I need to make this thing. All right. So the next method that we have, if you go back to the request.in, or if you see my screen, is the put method, right? The put method. The put method, like I said to you when I was explaining, the put method allows you to update the information that has been previously saved. The same thing with patch. So patch and put, they do the same job. They are both for updating, and delete is for deleting. So let's click on that put. I'm going to click on put, and then you see the way put works. So put now is able to update information in the database. And how will it do that, right? If you notice here, you have the route /API/user/2. That 2 in front of the /API/users means that we want to update the information that is currently on ID2. That's what it means. We want to update the current information in ID2. So if you copy, so let's create a new request. Go to Postman, create a new request. If you are with me, try that. So click on those 3 dots in front of Leon Lewis. Click on add new request, add request. It's going to give you a new request like always. But this new request now is to update. So let's call it update user. So let me wait for you right there, Leon Lewis, to do the same thing. So click on the 3 dots.
Yeah.
Click on add request.
I'm there already.
Name the request update user.
Yes, I've done that.
You've done that, great. So let's now copy the base URL as the same as before. Request.in, copy the base URL and paste it in your method there, in your box rather. Then change the method from get to put.
To
We are
post.
currently on put
To
because we
put.
want to update the change the method to put. Have you changed the method to put?
Yes, I have.
Yes. All right, great. So now let's look at the route that we need to follow. If you check the route in the request.in for put, it is /API/users/2. So I'm going to type that in my own /API/users/. So we are updating the information of the user in ID2. That is what this thing is saying. So I'm going to go to body. I'm going to go to body, and then I will switch to raw like we did for post. So put is actually a post. Let me mute this. Let me mute this. I don't even know which one works better. All right, so I'm back here now. So put is actually a post, but with a particular information or a particular record to update. So why post will post a new piece of information, put will edit an existing information. That's what put does, right? So that's what we're going to try now. So I'm going to go to my request.in and copy this information here, this JSON payload, Morpheus and Zion resident, and I'm going to use it to update. I'm going to paste here, and I'm going to use it to update. Hello, can you hear me? Is that Nelly or Leon Lewis talking?
I can hear you. I'm with you, sir.
Somebody is saying hello. Okay, good. So I was saying that we want to update the record for ID2. That's why we have 2 in front of these users here. I'm going to change this from Morpheus to, let's call it Jagaban. I'm going to call the name Jagaban, and I'm going to call it, what should I call it now? Let me call it resident.
modular residence.
All right, so I'm going to send. Don't forget what we've set up now. We have put, we have the URL /API/user/2. Then we have Jagaban, we have resident evil. I'm going to click on send, and it's going to give me a response that it has been updated successfully. So you can see it now. It comes back with 200 OK. The name has been updated. The job has changed. The updated art. You see the updated time. So the first one, when we use post, it told us created art. When we use put, it told us updated art. So that is how to update information in the database, right? And these are API calls we are making. Once you understand how API calls work, like I said, surveillance, then you now know how, once you understand this method, because when you want to start using Metasploit in cybersecurity for scanning, when you want to use Metasploit for scanning all the ports that are open, you understand how ports work, how HTTP requests work. These are HTTP requests that we are making now. So this is like a foundational thing to understand how API works, so that when you are scanning servers for you to carry out reconnaissance or to carry out surveillance, to know which ports are open, what's the thing called now? There's something that we call it, the name just escaped my mind. Whether you are using Apache or Nginx, there's something that we call the operating system. That's what I wanted. Whether you are using CentOS, Ubuntu, or any of the Linux version, Red Hat, and all of that. So you need to, like I said, before you can actually attack any server or attack, even if depending on where you are playing, it's either you are playing as an ethical hacker or you are playing as a real hacker, whichever one you are playing in. Before you can attack any system, you need to carry out reconnaissance. You need to actually do scanning and conduct surveillance to know what is the vulnerability of this system, what gaps exist, what holes are available, what can I exploit. That's why it's called exploitation. What hackers do is to exploit vulnerabilities, but you cannot exploit vulnerabilities that you are not aware of. So that's why we are learning it. So when you know how all of these API calls work, then when you are carrying out your reconnaissance, you know what to do. All right, so I think we've said a lot today. I will pause here. We'll conclude the the next class, and then we'll start the next topic on penetration testing. I don't know why this is going. All right, Leon, can you hear me? So on the next class,
Yes,
we're going to start more. We're going to complete the delete part, so that in fact you can even practice the delete on your own. It's very simple. The delete is just to click on delete on that regress site, click on delete, you will see the URL or the route for delete. There is no payload, there is no body payload for delete, but there is a route /API/user/2. It will delete that particular record away from database, and that's it. So that will bring us to the, you can also try the registration successful, the login successful endpoint, and all of that. So you can try this,
sorry to cut you
and
short,
be sure that we know how API calls are made.
All right, sorry to cut you short. Before I do that delete, I'll need to add request and create a new this thing again. Mr.
I'm losing you. I'm losing your voice.
Can you hear me? Can you
yeah,
hear me
go
now?
ahead. My line
I
is.
said to,
yeah,
okay,
can hear you now.
I want to try
go
this
ahead. I can hear you
delete
now.
on my own. Am I going to start with add request as usual, the way we did the first 4?
Exactly. Yes. That's what you do. Anytime you want to try a new request, click on add request and add a blank new box. Then you change the method to delete. You know, in that drop down, you have post, put, get, delete. Click on delete, put the URL, and run it. That's all.
Okay, I'll try it on my free time when we're done with the class.
So that's it. So on your own, your free time. Yeah. So I believe you've learned 1 or 2 things today, right?
Yes, so I have learned more than 1 or 2 things.
All right, so that's it. So we continue next class by God's grace, God keeping us. Let's join on time. I don't know why others have not joined tonight. Maybe they are not ready to learn cybersecurity. Maybe they want to do product design, or they want to do something else. All right, no while we'll keep learning, we'll keep moving forward. So we'll meet in the next class on, I think, Thursday by God's grace, and we'll continue on our penetration testing course. Maybe if time permits us, we'll touch SQL injection and look at SQL statement itself. And then, yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, can't wait
All
to
right.
meet you guys in class in the actual
Same here.
cybersecurity stuff, and then we'll keep on from there. So enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
You too. You too. Have a wonderful one. Bye.
Bye.